Every kingdom has a stolen secret. Some are buried, some are still waiting. The rain struck the stone towers of Windsor Castle like sharp whispers. Queen Elizabeth II was standing by the window, her eyes tracing the heavy clouds beyond the horizon. A century-old letter, worn and yellowed, trembled in her hand. "Majesty, this is not merely history. It's your inheritance, or perhaps your betrayal." These were the last words of a dying royal archivist. A man who claimed to have found a secret document, a document capable of redefining the history of the British monarchy. It spoke of the year 1567, and the mysterious downfall of Mary, Queen of Scots, a throne built on shadows. In the secrecy of the royal archives, the Queen spent sleepless nights. The document, hidden under layers of redacted royal correspondence, suggested something unthinkable: that the abdication of Mary Stuart had been forged, that Elizabeth I had orchestrated a hidden coup, aided by secret lords and foreign agents, that the current British crown was never meant to be England's alone. The Queen gripped the paper tighter. "If this is true, I am not the rightful heir. My reign is built on deception," the Scottish whispered. Across the border, far in the Scottish Highlands, the name Mary Dunblane echoed in ancient castles. She was not merely a historian. She was the living descendant of the Stuart bloodline, a direct line that had been erased from textbooks and silenced in courtrooms. Mairead had been waiting for the monarchy to acknowledge what they buried. And then, one night, she received a letter from Buckingham Palace. "Her Majesty invites you to a private conversation. No press, no records, no witnesses." She smiled bitterly. The ghosts are finally waking. The silent meeting. It was a rainy night when Mairead arrived at the royal estate. No flags were raised, no guards at the front gate. Only a silent, candlelit corridor leading her into the heart of history's most tightly guarded secret. Elizabeth sat in a chair carved by Henry VIII's artisans. Her fingers trembled slightly as she gestured for Mairead to sit. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I had to," Mairead replied. "It's not every day a lie lives this long." There was no venom in her voice, just a calm certainty. The Queen looked away. "You've read it, I've lived it." Eyes that held a kingdom, they stared at each other, as if two centuries of silence had suddenly broken open. "Why now?" Mairead finally asked. "Because I have little time," Elizabeth whispered, "and the world is changing." Mairead stood slowly. "You want my silence, don't you?" "No," the Queen said. "I want understanding. And maybe forgiveness." "You're not the one who needs forgiveness," Mairead said, her voice sharper now. "It's the crown itself that must answer." The Queen nodded. There was a tear she did not allow to fall. A crown divided. As the meeting ended, the silence between them grew louder than words. No agreement was signed, no photos were taken, but something irreversible had happened. Two women had faced the truth. Two bloodlines had collided in the dim light of truth. And the crown had cracked, even if only for a moment. Some truths are whispered not in war, but in rooms where history dares not enter. The fireplace at Balmoral Castle flickered low as midnight approached. Queen Elizabeth sat silently, a silk shawl draped over her shoulders. Across from her, Mairead Dunblane held a cup of untouched tea. Between them lay centuries of silence, soaked in blood, betrayal, and buried truths. "I did not come here for tea," Mairead said calmly. "I know," the Queen replied. This was not a diplomatic meeting. There were no royal advisors, no bodyguards, no official minutes. Just two women, one who reigned, and one whose bloodline had been erased from the throne. The Queen who never bowed. Elizabeth straightened in her seat, her eyes sharp. "I have read the letters, the wax seals, the hidden testimonies. If they are true," Mairead cut her off. "They are true." There was no arrogance in her tone, only grief. Grief for a family line drowned in silence. For a nation that had forgotten its queen. "Your great ancestor forged a path with ink and daggers," Mairead continued. "But mine lived in shadows, raising her children in exile, waiting for justice that never came." The Queen looked down. "And yet here we are, the chamber of silence. In a hidden chamber beneath the castle, a room not found on any map, the two women descended a narrow staircase. With trembling hands, she unlocked it. Inside, a diary signed by Mary, Queen of Scots, a blood-stained ribbon. A letter from Elizabeth I, sealed in black wax. "I kept these hidden for decades," said the Queen. "Why?" Mary asked. "Because history has never been written for the innocent. Only the victors." Mary touched the ribbon. "This ... belonged to her." Elizabeth nodded. "It was taken the night she was imprisoned." The legitimacy question. As dawn began to stain the sky, Mary faced her. "You fear that I've come for the throne, haven't you?" Elizabeth asked. Silence. "No," Mary replied. "I've come to confront what was stolen. To ask if there is space in history for truth." Elizabeth's breath caught. "I am dying," she whispered, "but I cannot leave behind a lie." The unwritten pact. They stood in front of the window, Balmoral's moors stretching beyond like a sea of frozen secrets. "What do you want from me?" Elizabeth asked. Mary didn't hesitate. Recognition, not titles, not riches. Just a whisper in the records. A page turned back. A truth allowed to breathe. The Queen nodded slowly. "After I'm gone," she said, "let it be known that the crown was borrowed." A final exchange. Before parting, Mary took one final look at the diary. "I'll return it when history is ready," she said. "Or when Scotland is," Elizabeth replied. They shared a look, wounded, knowing, human. Then Mary disappeared into the dawn mist. When crowns weigh heavy, truths become the heaviest burden of all. The morning sun spilled over the Scottish Highlands, casting long shadows through the ornate windows of Balmoral Castle. Inside, the air was thick with tension. The final act of a long-hidden drama was about to unfold. Queen Elizabeth sat poised, her face a mask of regal composure, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of uncertainty. Across from her, Mary Dunblane held a small, worn book, the Diary of Mary, Queen of Scots. "You carry the past like a wound," Elizabeth said softly. "And you carry the future," Mary replied. A truce of silence. For hours they spoke, not as monarch and challenger, but as to women bound by history's cruel hand. Mary recounted the forgotten chapters, the erased letters, the secret alliances, the betrayals that shaped kingdoms. Elizabeth listened, sometimes nodding, sometimes silent, weighed down by the gravity of what she had long denied. "History is a tapestry," Mary said, "but some threads were deliberately cut, and some stains were covered with gold leaf." Elizabeth responded. The revelation. At last, Mary opened the diary to a hidden page, a confession from Mary, written in trembling script. "To my descendants, I leave not a throne, but a truth. That power was taken by those who feared it. Remember us, not as traitors, but as rightful heirs." Elizabeth's hands trembled. The room felt colder. "This changes everything," Elizabeth whispered. "Or maybe it changes nothing," Mary said. "The world isn't ready yet." The final promise. They rose together, the weight of centuries upon their shoulders. "I cannot undo the past," Elizabeth said. "But I promise this, when I am gone, the story will be told. And I will be here," Mary vowed, "to ensure it is heard." They clasped hands, a silent pact forged in truth and regret. The end of an era. As Mary left the castle, the winds carried whispers through the heather. "The crown was never just gold and jewels," she murmured. "It was the stories we choose to tell." Behind her, Elizabeth watched from the window, a queen both burdened and liberated. The sun set on an era of silence, and the dawn of a new chapter.